Hey, what's up, guys? Good to be back with you again today. It's the Pirates who are 9-3 at the Cubs who are 10-2, and probably don't need to show you this, but the Pirates are just a game out of first place. So this is a big, big series and a big, big game. Honus Wagner, as usual, will lead it off for the Pirates. I know, he didn't lead off in real life. Whatever, he does now. Wagner rolls a 15 for an 11. That's a base hit and then a stolen base. You can see now why I want to lead him off. I mean, why would you not want to? Here's Fred Clark with Wagner now on at second base and nobody out here, top of the first inning, up against Three-Finger Brown, and Clark rolls a 55 for an 8, and that's going to be a little ground ball over to Steinfeld. Throws over to first for the out. Wagner moves up. There's one away, and here comes Tommy Leach. Tommy Leach bats now with a runner on third base, only one out, and he rolls a 65 for a 35. That's a little pop-up over to Tinker, the shortstop, for the second out, and that'll bring up the next batter, who is Ed Apaticio. And Ed will roll a 32 for a 26, and the Cubs get out of that inning. There's a little ground ball over to Evers, throws to first for the out, and we go to the bottom of the first, and here is Johnny Evers, and he rolls a 64 for a 14 and walks. Howie Kamnitz gives up the walk early on. They're going to play hit and run here with Frank Chance up there, and he rolls a 14 for a 43. That's a little fly ball over to Clark in left field for the first out, and here's Johnny Kling. Playing hit and run again. There's another 14 for another 43, another fly ball over to Clark in left field, 2 outs, and here's Jimmy Sheckard. And Jimmy rolls a 21 for a 30, and that is a fly ball this time over to Becker in center, and we go to the top of the second. And here comes Owen Wilson, who, as you know by now, has the lead, not at this time, but in the history books, has more triples in a single season than anybody else, 36 in 1912. And Wilson rolls a 33 for a 7 and gets a base hit off of Three-Finger Brown's second hit of the game for the Pirates. That'll bring up Swasina. Wilson is not going to do any hitting and running. And the next roll is a 41 for a 28. That's a little ground ball over to Tinker. Flips over to Evers for the force out at second. Swasina beats all the double play, and here comes George Gibson. And the roll is a 23 for a 32. It's going to be a fly ball over to right field. Wrong team. Schultz has it for the out. 2 away, and here's Beals Becker. And he rolls an 11 for a 7, and that's going to be a ground ball over to third base. Steinfeld has it, throws over to first for the out. And we go to the bottom of the second inning, and here is Jimmy Slagle. He rolls a 16 for a 28. There's a ground ball over to shortstop. Honus Wagner has it, throws to first for the out, 1 away, and it's Joe Tinker, and he rolls a 25 for a 10. There's a single to center field off of Howie Kamnitz, and that'll bring up Harry Steinfeld. And he rolls a 54 for a 34. It's going to be a little fly ball over to right field. Wilson has it for the out, 2 away, and it's Wildflower Schultz, who rolls a 52 for a 27. That's going to be a ground ball over to Leach, who flips that one over to second base Apaticio for the force out. We go to the top of the third inning, and boy, the Pirates had that runner on third base with only 1 out, top of the first, and couldn't get him to score. Howie Kamnitz now, and he rolls a 42 for a 13 and strikes out. 1 away, first strikeout for Three-Finger Brown. Here's Wagner again, who had that triple. Or a double, rather. It was a single and a stolen base. He rolls a 35 for an 8, and that's going to be a pop-up over to Steinfeld at third base for the second out. And here comes Fred Clark. Rolls a 21 for a 30, and that's a fly ball over to Sheckard. Jimmy's got it in left field for the third out. We go to the bottom of the third. Three-Finger Brown up there rolls a 41 for a 24. Ground ball over to Honus Wagner. Makes the play, throws to first for the out. There's 1 away. As Johnny Evers now rolls a 14 for a 43. And here comes that little E-roll. It's a 25 just out of the range. That's a fly ball over to left field. It's Clark who has it for the second out. Frank Chance now, and he rolls a 12 for a 25. That's a ground ball over to second base. It's Apaticio, throws to first for the out. We go to the top of the fourth, and it's going to be Tommy Leach leading this off. He rolls an 11 for a 0. Next roll is a 16 for a 6, and that's a double to right center field. And here comes Apaticio with a chance to drive one in. Leach on at second base. And his rolls a 63 for a 31. That's going to be a fly ball over to center field. Slagle has it for the out. Slagle, not a great arm, and that allows Leach to move over to third base. And here comes Owen Wilson, and the infield's coming in now. And I think that we're going to bunt. Let's see what happens. And that one is in between, so let's try this roll again. It's a 64 for a 29, and that's a strike and a missed attempt to bunt. Infield comes back in again, and I think we're going to let Wilson swing away this time. And it's a 56 for a 34. It's a good thing we weren't bunting, as that's a double play, if I remember right. And a little E-roll comes up, and it's a 35. And so this will be a little pop-up over to Chance at first base. 2 outs now, and here's Harry Swasina. And Harry rolls a 33 for a 7. That's a fly ball over to left field against the 8th, and that's a catch by Sheckard. And we go to the bottom of the 4th. Here is Johnny Kling. He rolls a 51 for an 8. That's a ground ball to Honus Wagner. Throws to first for the out, 1 away. And here's Jimmy Sheckard, who rolls a 65 for a 35. That's a pop-up over to third baseman Leach. 2 away for Jimmy Slagle, who rolls a 65 for a 35. That's a pop-up over to Swasina, the first baseman. We go to the top of the 5th, and it's George Gibson, nothing game. Gibson rolls a 26 for a 27. That's a ground ball over to third baseman Steinfeld, who throws to first for the out, 1 away. Beals Becker now, and he rolls a 51 for a 9. That's going to be a single against Brown, who's now a B, and unfortunately Becker is thrown out trying to steal second. 2 outs now for Howie Kamnitz. Kamnitz rolls a 54 for a 45, and there is a little E-roll, and it's a 12, and so there will be an error. That's going to be an error on the left fielder, Sheckard, and that brings up Honus Wagner now with the runner on first base. 2 outs, top of the 5th inning. Wagner 1 for 2 today, hitting 333. He rolls a 12 for a 24. Here comes that little E again, and it's a 25 out of the range. That's a little ground ball over to shortstop Tinker. Flips over to Evers for the force play. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning, and here is Joe Tinker. And his first roll is a 23 for a 32. It's a fly ball over to right field. Wilson has it for the out, 1 away, and here is Steinfeld. He rolls a 53 for a 19. That's changed to an 18. That will be a hit over to Honus Wagner, who boots it, and that's an error. First error of the game for the Pirates, and that brings up Wildfire Schultz with the fast runner on at first base, but Steinfeld doesn't have one of those 11s, so we're not going to risk the hit and run. Rolls a 65 for a 35. That's a pop-up that's caught by Gibson, the catcher. 2 away, and here is Three-Finger Brown. And Brown rolls a 43 for a 29. That's a little comebacker over to Kamnitz, the pitcher, and we go to the top of the 6th inning. Exciting game here, much better than yesterday's. Here's Fred Clark. Clark rolls a 36 for a 14, and he gets the walk, and that'll bring up Tommy Leach. Clark is fast enough for this hit and run. We don't have to worry as much about this. Leach's roll is a 14 for a 43, and that's a fly ball over to left field. It's Sheckard who has it for the out, 1 away. Here comes Abaticio, and we're going to start that runner again. And his roll is a 33 for a 7, and that's going to be a single to right field, and that will send Clark over to third base. And here comes Chief Wilson again, and they're going to pull the infield in, and we're going to try to bunt again. And we are going to use the suicide squeeze, and let's see what happens. Nothing game, top of the 6th inning, and if you don't like bunting, if you're a sabermetrician, you better close your eyes here. And the roll is a 52 for a 27, and that's a foul strike. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to do a suicide squeeze one more time, given a roll. And the roll is a 16 for a 28, and that's a foul strike again. Infield comes in again. Wilson is not going to be bunting. And the next roll is a 45 for a 14. And so Brown loses him despite getting a 0-2 advantage on him. Wilson gets the walk. Even the Z can't help you in that circumstance. That brings up Harry Swasina now with the bases loaded. And Swasina is also going to try to bunt. Let's see what happens. The roll is a 56 for a 34. There is a little E-roll. And it's a 21. So there is an error on this play, and that's going to be an error on the catcher. So Chance made the play, threw over to Kling, who dropped the ball at the plate, and just like that, it's a 1-0 game for the Pirates. And that's one of those rules. That's one of those real exciting moments in these games that you just never know what's going to happen. Here we are in the top of the 6th inning, and it was Harry Swasina, the first baseman, and probably one of the worst, I don't know if he's one of the worst starting hitters on the Pirates squad, but certainly one of them. And he gets the bunt down and ends up being safe at first on the drop by the catcher, Kling. That'll bring up George Gibson with still with only 1 out, and the base is still loaded, and we're going to have him swing away. And he rolls a 41 for a 28, and because the infield was drawn in, that ends up being a single through short, and that advances the runners by a base. And so Gibson comes through with the big single, and that'll bring up Beals Becker. Runners still, the bases are still loaded. I think what we're going to do with Becker is we're going to end up swinging away with him instead of bunting. And we'll probably have the infield back on this one as well, now that 2 runs have scored. So Three-Finger Brown being led down by the infield around him. Becker rolls a 21 for a 30. That's a fly ball over to left field, and Sheckard has it for the out, but that will score the run, and it's now 3-0. And here comes the pitcher, Howie Kamnitz. He rolls a 22 for a 9, and that's a single to beat out the infield hit, and that fills the bases. And here comes Honus Wagner now with the bases loaded. 2 outs, top of the 6th inning, 3-0 Pirates. And Wagner rolls a 13 for a 14, and that's going to be a ball. And his next roll is a 25 for an 11. That's going to be a base hit. That'll score 2 and send Kamnitz over to third. Wagner then steals the base, and that's his second stolen base of this game. Here comes Fred Clark. It's 5-0 Pirates, and man, they're just ripping everything out of the Cubs. Clark up there now rolls a 61 for a 27. There's that ground ball over to Steinfeld at third base. Throws to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 6th, and here's Johnny Evers. He rolls a 46 for a 29. That's a comeback over to Kamnitz. Throws to first for the out. 1 away. Frank Chance now. He'll roll a 33 for a 0. Now we go power. Next one's a 14 for an 11. So that's a base hit for Chance, and he gets the stolen base as Johnny Kling is up there. Runner on second base now with 1 out, and Kling rolls a 36 for a 33. Here is our little E roll, and this time it's going to be a 34 out of the range. Just a little pop-up over to the shortstop, Honus Wagner, for the second out. Here's Jimmy Sheckard. Sheckard rolls a 33 for an 8, and that's going to be a little comeback over to Kamnitz. Throws over to first for the out. We go to the top of the 7th inning. Three-fingered Brown gave up 5 runs. I'm not sure how many of those actually count as being earned, though. And the roll by Tommy Leach is a 61 for a 39, changed to a 41. That's a ground ball over to Tinker, the shortstop. Throws to first for the out. 1 away. Batistio rolls a 64 for a 13 and strikes out. Second strikeout for Brown. And here comes Wilson, who rolls an 11 for a 0. And then a 32 for an 11. So it's a base hit for Owen Wilson, and then he follows that up with a stolen base. Here comes Harry Swasina, runner on at second, and he rolls a 44 for an 8. That's a comebacker over to Brown. Throws over to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and it's Jimmy Slagle. Jimmy rolls a 33 for an 8. That's a ground ball to Honus Wagner. Throws over to first for the out. 1 away. Joe Tinker now with a 52 for a 27. That's a ground ball this time to the third baseman Leach. There you are, Tommy. Throws to first for the out. 2 away, and it's Harry Steinfeld, who rolls a 43 for a 29. Comebacker to Kamnitz. Throws over to first for the out. We go to the top of the 8th, and it's George Gibson. Gibson rolls a 55 for an 8. That's a ground ball to Tinker. Throws to first for the out. 1 away. Beals Becker rolls a 24 for a 13, and he'll strike out. And there's 2 outs now, and here's Howie Kamnitz. And Kamnitz rolls a 54 for a 45. That's a little fly ball over to the right fielder, Schultz. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and it will be Schultz to lead this off for the Cubs with their last-ditch effort. He rolls a 24 for a 13 and strikes out. 1 away, and here comes Three-Finger Brown. I hate to say this, but we're going to take him out of this game. To try to get some sort of offense going on here is going to be Del Howard, who will be pinch hitting for him. Howard is 1 for 2 this season, 500 batting average, and he rolls a 25 for an 8. That's a ground ball over to Honus Wagner, who throws to first for the out. 2 away, and here's Johnny Evers. Evers rolls a 35 for a 9. That's going to be a single, but he's then caught stealing afterwards. And we go to the top of the 9th, and let's see what we have here. We're going to change the pitcher here, and we're probably going to put in, I'm thinking like Lundgren maybe. Yeah, we're going to put in Carl Lundgren. He'll pitch the top of the 9th inning, and the first batter he faces is Honus Wagner, rolls a 14 for a 43. It's a fly ball over to left field. Sheckard has it for the out. 1 away. Fred Clark now rolls a 22 for a 7, and there's a base hit to right field. 10th hit for the Giants off of the Cubs pitching, and here's Tommy Leach. Leach rolls a 66 for a 0. The next roll is, let's see here. I think that will be a 22. We'll count that for a triple, and that's a triple down the right field line, and that makes it a 6-0 game. And here comes Ed Abaticio, the runner on third base and 1 out. And he rolls a 36 for a 32. It's a fly ball to right field, and it is Schultz who makes the catch, and that scores the run. It's 7-0 Pirates. Here comes Owen Wilson again, who rolls a 55 for an 8. That's a single. Lundgren giving up his hits here. And the next one up, Swasina, rolls a 25 for a 9. Runners on first and second now. Here comes George Gibson, and he rolls a 64 for a 13 and strikes out. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. 7-0 Pirates, and it's garbage time now. 13 hits for the Pirates against 3 for the Cubs. Up first is Frank Chance, who rolls a 43 for a 29. That's a ground ball over to Kamnitz. Throws over to first for the out. 1 away. Johnny Kling rolls a 51 for an 8. And there's a ground ball to Honus Wagner at short. Makes the play and throws over to first for the out. 2 away, and it's Jimmy Sheckard. He rolls a 21 for a 30. It's a fly ball over to left field, and that will be your ball game as it's Clark who makes that catch for the out. Pirates and the Cubs now are tied for the lead in first place, both with 10 wins, 3 losses. And I'm telling you, man, this 1908 season is great, isn't it? I'll have more for you tomorrow, and we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.